In this video I'm going to show you how to make some small adjustments to your page that will indicate to all of the search engines that your page is highly relevant to the keyword that you're targeting. Now the video is going to get a little bit technical, so if you're not the person who set up your web page or you don't really know much about website programming, that's okay. The person who did help you set it up, you should show them this checklist and just make sure that they're following it. So with on-page optimization, the important thing to remember is that all these little details add up. There's a lot of little things that we're going to see that you can do to your page that is going to indicate to all the search engines how relevant the content is. And in fact, there's a lot of factors that can add up, but just focus on the basics because those are the ones that count the most. And everything we talk about in this video, that's what I consider the basics, and that's what I've seen real results from doing optimization work. Just make sure to follow the checklist, and if someone else is going to update the website for you, don't worry about it. Just make sure that they're hitting all the points on the checklist. So some general guidelines when you're putting your keyword on the page. There's two big mistakes that people make. Sometimes they do too much, sometimes they do too little. So on one hand, Google's aware that if you have the same keyword over and over and over and over again, it looks like stuffing and that you're trying to manipulate the rankings, and that it actually will backfire on you. On the other hand, if you don't have it in there enough, it looks like your page isn't related to the keyword that you're targeting. So the key is to really strike a balance. And so what you can do is have several different versions of your keyword throughout the page. So let's say we're targeting emergency plumbers in Denver. You can also say Denver plumber emergency, emergency plumbing service in Denver. Just the point is to mix it up and try and use the same keywords as much as possible, as long as you're mixing them up in natural language. And in fact, other keywords that are kind of related also help a lot too. So 24-hour plumber, Denver, could also help you out here as well. So now that you're going to start optimizing your site, what it's actually a good idea to do is to collect a lot of analytics about your site as it is now. So you're going to want to get listed and install Google Analytics on your site, register with Google and Bing's Webmaster Tools, and then go ahead and just wait a little bit before you update your page so that you can start measuring the effect. Probably don't need to wait more than 2 weeks with this. The first thing you're going to want to look at is your URL. In other words, the address of that specific page. So, for example, your business, Emergency Plumber Denver. This right here is an ideal URL. The fewer the letters, the better, in fact. So you don't want it to run too long and say your business, Emergency Plumber Denver, 24 hours, plumbing company heating. You don't want it to go on forever. You want it just to keep it short and tight, focused on the keyword plus your domain name. And if you have some of these crazy URLs that you'll see sometimes, like this one, where it's got all kinds of programming code in it, make sure that you have someone clean that up for you. Also, notice how there's dashes between the words. This makes it neat and clean and easy to read. If you already have your page set up a certain way, don't worry about that too much, but it does help. Okay, in the title of the page, it's actually not on the page itself, it's at the top of the browser. You can specify what text goes up in there, and you want that to be your keywords. But don't load it up. Just use very brief and natural language. If your keyword is Omaha movers, that's all it really needs to say. Don't try and go for 7 different keywords like, well, these guys. Just keep it focused. Another thing you're going to want to adjust is what's called the meta description. And if you look down here, this is the description that appears in the search results. And so this might be text that you never actually see on your page, but inside the code of the page, you can write something that tells the search engines what you want to have appear when your site comes up in the search results. So here's an example. With this, you want to keep it under about 140 characters. If you have a lot of pages, make sure it's different on every page and that it is describing that page. But if you don't know what to do with all of your other pages other than your target pages, just leave it blank and Google will figure it out for you. But make sure that you're embedding the keyword in natural language and that it's encouraging a click-through. In other words, when people read this description, do they want to click on your site after reading that or not? Give them a reason to. Okay, the meta keywords are found inside the page's HTML head code, and they're not as useful as they used to be, but it can't hurt to have them set up. But again, just mix it up, don't have too many, and keep the focus. Just the headers are basically the titles of the articles that you have on your pages. So imagine if you were looking at a newspaper, it would be the headline of the article. That's what I'm talking about. So HTML, which is the website markup language, uses tags. So you're going to want to look at this H1 heading on the page and make sure that you've got your keyword in there at least once. And make sure you really only have one H1 tag. You don't want more than one, because then it starts conflicting and mixing up what your page is really about. Now you can also have H2 subheadings, but you want to mix it up. So in the subheadings, your keyword, in my opinion, what is your keyword? Mix it up a little bit here. And you really only need 2 or 3 of these. Now, when it comes to the content itself that's on the page, don't repeat the keyword too many times, because again, all the search engines are aware of people trying to stuff the keyword in, and it looks way too obvious, and Google will actually penalize that. About 3 times for every 500 words is more than enough. But one thing you do want to make sure is that you have the keyword listed near the beginning of your text and somewhere near the end. And again, just keep using natural language and don't force it. Also, inside the text itself, it's a good idea to link to other pages on your site when it's relevant. So if your main page is talking about all your different services, you have a page specifically about emergency services, Emergency Plumber Denver, you're going to want to link on that page that says Emergency Plumber in Denver, that links back to your other page on your site. That kind of internal linking can give you a really big boost, but on small scale sites it's not too critical. Now, when you have time for it, you want to add a lot of really rich, interesting content that the search engines love to see. The first is to try and get 2 images with the keyword in the description text of the image. Here's what it would look like in HTML. So you see the name of the image file, and then under the description you can see the keyword. Now, if you have a video camera, a short YouTube video is really good to do. Google especially loves seeing videos because they like promoting videos to the top of the search results. And so you can benefit from this as well. Anything is fine. Just a quick flip camera welcoming someone to the site, or something educational about your service, 5 tips on how to blah blah blah. Anything like that is really helpful. And it's not just good for SEO, it's good for the visitor who's coming to your site because it's more engaging. The other thing the search engines are starting to pick up on are these social media links at the bottom of the pages that usually enable sharing. So you might see a Facebook like button, or Facebook comment, or share this on. Those kind of things are actually really good to put at the bottom of your content. And it also has the added benefit of maybe getting you more traffic, because if someone reads your page, likes it, there's a chance that they'll share it with somebody else. And I want to talk a little bit more about what kind of links that you have on the page. I talked a little bit about internal linking inside the content itself, but you want to also make sure that your navigation is nice and clear at the top. Use your keyword phrases for the link titles if it makes sense to word a navigation link that way, because this is all about telling Google what your page is all about and how it relates to the rest of your site. And navigation links are one of the strongest pieces of evidence for that. Some links to other sites that you don't own are actually pretty good, because it's indicating that your site is trying to give the best possible information to the user, whether it's on your site or not. And that sort of web page behavior is what search engines reward. But don't overdo it, just 3 to 5 is plenty. Now, at the footer of the page, at the bottom, there's some links that search engines also really like to see. Things like terms of use, disclaimer, privacy policy, contact us. Those are all the kind of links that legitimate sites always have, and so the search engines know to look for that. You don't need to have all of these, just a few of them is fine. Whatever makes sense for your site. Now I'm going to jump over to my web browser and I'm going to show you an add-on for Firefox that will let you automatically check your web page for all of these details I've just talked about. So you can just go up to Google and type in SEO Doctor and you'll get this add-on, and you just add it to Firefox. It'll appear down here as a small percentage. If you're on another page, it's very easy to use. You just go down to the percentage and click on it, and you'll see this little flag here. There's yellow, it'll be green or red, and if it's green you're good to go. If it's red you need a lot of work, and if it's yellow there's just a couple things you need to fix. So you can see here this page, a couple problems with it is it loads a little bit slowly. It doesn't have analytics installed. The title tag has some kind of problem. Let's see what that is. Yeah, it says the title tag has 17 words and 118 characters. And so it gives you advice on how to fix that. So down here you see right away, title should be present exactly once and be up to 11 words. And then it also says there's no H2 tags. And it gives you a little bit more information about all of these things. And so this is a nice quick way, if you're not technical, about checking your web page to make sure it's in shape. So if you ask somebody else to do it, this is the way to check to make sure that they did it right. And if you've done it completely correctly, you'll have a total score of 100%. Okay, thanks for watching, and let's move on to off-site optimization.